Hey there, Noble. It's me, it's Mr. Wilbur. Let's see, what day is it even? Also, what is the password for my laptop? Alright, it is Thursday, April 16th. Here are your Noble High School morning announcements. First up, don't forget today, from 3 to 4 p.m., Noble Gets Cooking. The Cooking Club strikes back. The Cooking Club is hosting another Google Hangout today, and they will be cooking stir-fried vegetables with crispy tofu or chicken served over rice. The recipe is attached to the Google Hangout form. If you have any questions, please contact Elizabeth Lane. And speaking of cooking, Ms. Soon has released another episode of her Food Network quality cooking show, Yu Hung's Country Kitchen. It's 5 minutes long and definitely worth a watch. I will post the link in the description, but here are some highlights.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Yu Hong's Country Kitchen. Today,
soy sauce, cornstarch, sugar, sesame oil, cooking wine, each 1 tablespoon. 3 slices of cheese into the wok. Then put the chicken in. Add the sauce.
Thank you so much, Miss Soon, and I genuinely look forward to more episodes of Yu Hung's Country Kitchen. And now, although it is Thursday, since there is no remote learning on Friday, today will be your Feedback Friday, Thursday edition. But before I move on to the feedback, I would like to have an airing of grievances. I have but one grievance. In all the feedback I received this week, no one, not a single person, mentioned my incredible ninja moves from Monday. How can that be? Were you all just that blown away by my skills? Utterly rendered speechless? Alright, so that's it. That's it for this week's airing of grievances. And moving on to our proper feedback provided by you.
No, Mr. Wilbur, you can't do a pun segment. Puns are bad.
Well, that's just one man's opinion. It's gonna happen, you can't stop it. Also, take it up with Mr. Parr. He is the pun master.
Thank you for your amazing Law & Order SVU reference in this morning's announcements. It's my favorite show. I remember that episode. So good. Have a great week.
Thank you so much for sharing in my love of Law & Order SVU. But if I'm living my personal truth, my heart truly lies with that of the original Law & Order.
Not SVU, not Criminal Intent, not the short-lived Trial by Jury, not the abysmal Law & Order LA, which lasted 1 season.
But the original Law & Order. Specifically the time period of Briscoe and Green. With respect to Bernard and Lupo, they were fine. I could watch closing arguments delivered by Jack McCoy to the end of time.
But speaking of SVU, rumor has it they're bringing back Christopher Maloney, aka Elliot Stabler, for an as-yet untitled new Law & Order series.
I am fully down. Moving on.
Good morning, Mr. Wilbur, or whenever you read this. Every morning when you post these, me, my sister, and my mom sit down to watch these. We all enjoy them and hope you keep doing them.
Thank you so much. I've heard that this is actually a family activity in a bunch of houses, which is the coolest thing ever. I received this email after saying I was grateful for having access to almost all of the music ever recorded.
Literally any song that's been recorded in history at any time? It's a pretty bold statement. Don't get me wrong, I am also grateful for the ability to listen to music online, but if you enjoy 1200s Occitan music, your options are quite limited. And this singer, Jace Molina? No idea how to pronounce that. Recorded LPs in the early 70s, so only some of her pieces are digital. Thus, I can only listen to very few of her haunting songs, and sadly not her whole albums, and it's pretty sad.
Alright, I may have exaggerated. I myself have amassed quite a library of underground, locally released records that haven't made its way to streaming platforms or YouTube. But I'd say in general we have access to just about everything. And when it comes from your stuff from the 1200s, I mean, we've only had proper recording techniques for the past 100 years. If it hasn't been recorded, it can't be listened to unless live. I'd say about 80% of recorded music we currently have access to. Thank you for your criticism.
It's nice to hear that morning announcements are therapeutic for you. It's therapeutic to still be able to hear them, and they're even better now because we can watch your really animated self. I myself can't sit still because of ADHD. But seeing you move around encouraged me to go do something instead of locking myself in a room and working all day. Thank you, Mr. Wilbur, for continuing to make the morning announcements every day and staying positive. I think I'm speaking for most Noble kids, even staff, when I say this. The announcements are a small thing, but they make a big difference. Thank you again, Mr. Wilbur, and all the staff that contribute to the morning announcements. I really appreciate y'all.
That means so much to hear. and all the staff that helped me out in making these videos. It means so much to us to hear that. It means a lot to you. Mr. Parr, Mrs. Perkins, Miss Kearney, Miss Soon, Madame Larson, but none of us can really do this without your input, so keep sending me stuff, please. And finally, the last and most important pieces of feedback I've received are a bunch of emails that said simply, I don't even know what the mission was, but it is accomplished. I also received one lone email that said this. I'll bring it back eventually. And now we're moving on to today's word of the day, brought to you by Mr. Parr. Don't forget this week's words were all mythological creatures. And today's mythological creature word is Pegasus. Pegasus is a magical winged horse, usually depicted as pure white in color. In Greek mythology, Pegasus appears many times, often to help heroes defeat evil forces. You might recognize the TriStar Pictures logo, which features a majestic Pegasus flying across the screen. You might have also seen it in Disney's animated Hercules film. Not the best Disney animated film. It's alright. It was at the tail end of the Disney Renaissance. If you have Disney Plus, watch the documentary Waking Sleeping Beauty to see what I mean by the Disney Renaissance. And now for This Day in History, brought to you by Mrs. Perkins. On this day in 1947, the term Cold War was coined in a speech given by Bernard Baruch during the unveiling of his portrait in the South Carolina House of Representatives. Also, moving forward into the future, on this day in the year 2151, the first Starship Enterprise with warp capability was launched, the Enterprise NX-01, the first in a long line of Starship Enterprises. It was featured in the comparatively inferior series Star Trek Enterprise, for all you Trekkies out there. And now it's time for our pet of the day. Our staff pet of the day goes to Ms. Textera. She said, here's Miss Kitty trying to help me with my work. Our coworkers are really messing with our workflow right now. And then here's her resting. And our student pet of the day goes to longtime contributor Craig O'Donnell. These are my dogs Moose and Mocha, in order from left to right, but I'm sure you could have figured that out yourself. Better safe than sorry, Craig. And that's it for the announcements today. Remember, I also believe we don't have remote learning on Monday, so we'll be back with your morning announcements on Tuesday. And you've been sending me a bunch of music recommendations, so there might be another edition of Clueless Old Guy Music Reviews. So if you do anything awesome this weekend, tell me about it. I'd love to talk about it. Make sure to read a book. I think this weekend I'm finally going to start The Institute by Stephen King. My father got it for me for Christmas, and I haven't gotten around to reading it yet, and no better time than now. And now it's time to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody, next time I talk to you, we'll be talking about Tuesday. And in the meantime, stay noble, knights.